So this is my final video of 2017 and it is my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2018. So next year in 2018 we are getting a ton of huge movies and these are the 10 that I'm most excited for. And every time I make a top 10 video I always say this. This is a opinionated list. These are the 10 movies that I'm most excited for next year in 2018. So I don't want anyone in the comments being like, why didn't you add that movie on there? Okay. Like I said earlier, these are the 10 movies that I'm most excited for. So if there's a certain movie on my list that you're excited for, but I didn't put it on my list, I'm sorry. It's just my list. So as long as we can respect our opinions, we're good. Let's get right into it. This is my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2018. So, let's start the list with number 10. And number 10 is Mary Poppins Returns. This is the one movie on my list that I'm very skeptical about. Because the original Mary Poppins is a iconic classic. It's one of the greatest movies ever made. And when Disney announced they were going to make a sequel to it, I was like, really? So, is Mary Poppins Returns a necessary sequel? Absolutely not. However, Disney did reveal the plot details for it. Like, it takes place 30 years after the events of the original movie. The kids from the original movie, I believe their names are Michael and Jane, I think. They're all grown up. I think they're getting over like a personal death in the family or something, and Mary Poppins returns to like make things all better. From what I heard, it's a good story. However, I just want it to be a good movie. I am optimistic for it, and it does have a pretty strong cast. For example, Emily Blunt is gonna play Mary Poppins. That is what I'm worried about the most, because Julie Andrews played Mary Poppins in the original movie, and she was excellent. Heck, she even won an Oscar for it, because she is Mary Poppins, and she always will be. And I want Emily Blunt to be good. And Dick Van Dyke is returning for a cameo in it, and Meryl Streep is in it. I'm not sure who she's playing. Colin Firth is in it as well, and Lin-Manuel Miranda, who is the Hamilton creator, he's in it as well. And with that cast alone, I am very optimistic for it. Let's move on to number 9, and number 9 is Ready Player One. So Ready Player One is being directed by Steven Spielberg. It is based on a book. I have not read the book. However, I am very excited for this movie. When I saw the trailers for this movie, I was hyped for it, and this movie looks freaking sick. I'm not gonna go into details about what the story is, because it's kind of a complex story, and it does involve 80s franchises, and it's literally like a nerd dream come true, because when I saw the DeLorean from Back to the Future in the trailer, I had a huge smile on my face. Let's move on to number 8, and number 8 is Isle of Dogs. So, Isle of Dogs is Wes Anderson's next movie, and he also directed Rushmore, Moonrise Kingdom, Grand Budapest Hotel, Fantastic Mr. Fox, and his filmography is phenomenal, and he's one of the best directors working today. In fact, Isle of Dogs is Wes Anderson's second animated movie, and his first animated movie was Fantastic Mr. Fox. And not only that, with the cast alone, like Bill Murray, Scarlett Johansson, and a bunch of other people whose names I can't say because of time. With that cast alone, I'm very excited for this movie, and I think Isle of Dogs is gonna be phenomenal. Let's move on to number 7, and number 7 is Paddington 2. The first Paddington movie really surprised me. I thought it was gonna be some crappy, generic kids movie, but it turned out to be a surprisingly fantastic family movie with very funny humor and surprising heartwarming moments. And when I heard they were gonna make Paddington 2, I was already hyped for it. And when I saw the trailer for it, yeah, I was even more excited for it. And I believe Paddington 2 has been out since November in the United Kingdom, and when the reviews came out for it, people went nuts for it, and people were saying it's better than the first Paddington. Heck, I think it has a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I think it has a 90% on Metacritic. And with those reviews alone, I'm very excited for Paddington 2. I'm not sure how it's going to turn out, but my prediction is it's going to be better than the first one. So we're going to move on to number 6, and number 6 is Creed 2. The original Rocky is one of my favorite movies of all time. And when I saw Creed, it surprised the hell out of me. I thought it was going to be just a repeat of the original Rocky, but it turned out to be a great movie. It was very effective and it was very emotional. And when I heard they were going to make Creed 2, man, I was stoked. And I believe they're going to get the son of Ivan Drago to go up against Adonis Creed in Creed 2. And I wonder what's going to happen with Rocky in Creed 2, because spoiler alert if you haven't seen Creed, but Rocky got diagnosed with cancer, and I wonder what's going to happen to him, because is he going to die? Is he going to live through it? I'm not sure, but we'll just wait and see. We finally made it to the top 5, and number 5 is Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2. The first Wreck-It Ralph movie was a huge surprise for me. It was one of my favorite movies of 2012. In fact, it was my favorite animated movie of that year too, and it's now one of my favorite Disney movies of all time. So in Ralph Breaks the Internet, Ralph and Vanellope escape the arcade and they go into the internet. Yes, the internet. I don't know too much about the story, but this could be a very funny movie. The one concern I have for Wreck-It Ralph 2 is I just don't want it to be a repeat of the first movie, except in the internet, because sequels do go through that kind of stuff a lot. Like, sequels are kind of a repeat of the first movie sometimes. Like, for example, Ghostbusters 2 and Jurassic World. I just don't want Wreck-It Ralph 2 to be like one of those sequels. My expectations are high for it, so I really hope it's a good movie. Let's move on to number 4. And number 4 is Black Panther. So, here's what I think of Black Panther as a character. Honestly, I didn't know that much about him. But then Captain America Civil War came out, and it introduced Black Panther, and I was like, I want to know everything about this character. He is awesome. And he was easily one of my favorite parts of Civil War, and I'm so excited he is getting his own movie. Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther is perfect. I mean, even though we didn't see that much of him in Civil War, he was still a badass. And I can't wait to see more of him in this movie. And Chadwick Boseman is one of the best actors working today. I remember when I saw 42, the biopic about Jackie Robinson, which is a very underrated movie. It is fantastic. Okay, Chadwick Boseman was fantastic as Jackie Robinson, and when he was casted as Black Panther, I was even more excited. And I can't wait to see more of him in this movie. And another reason why I'm very excited for it is because Black Panther is being directed by Ryan Coogler, who also directed Creed, and that was a fantastic movie. And Ryan Coogler is one of the best directors working today, and Michael B. Jordan, speaking of Creed, he is reunited with Ryan Coogler in this movie. He is going to play the villain, and I really hope Michael B. Jordan is a good villain and he's not wasted like a huge majority of the other Marvel villains. Let's move on to number 3, and number 3 is Deadpool 2. When the first Deadpool came out in 2016, it surprised me. It instantly became one of my favorite movies of 2016 and one of my favorite movies of all time. And when I heard they were going to make a Deadpool 2, man, I was pumped. And the marketing for Deadpool 2, just like the first one, has been awesome. We haven't seen that much footage from it. Like, I remember about a month ago, I believe, we had that Bob Ross parody trailer, and they showed like 8 seconds of footage, and it was a fantastic trailer, and I loved it. Josh Brolin will be playing Cable in Deadpool 2. I think that is a great casting choice. Even though I don't know that much of Cable, all I know is that he's a character in the X-Men universe. I think Josh Brolin is a pretty good choice for him because they showed pictures of what he's gonna look like in the costume. He looks badass, and I can't wait to see what they're gonna do with a Deadpool 2. I hope it's gonna be just as great as the first one, or maybe even better. We finally made it to the top 2. So let's move on to number 2. And number 2 is Avengers Infinity War. So if you're following the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this is it. This is the moment we've been preparing for a long time. The Infinity War. The Avengers and the Guardians of the Galaxy are going to team up to defeat Thanos. This is the movie that we've been waiting for. I hope Thanos is going to be a badass villain, because a majority of the Marvel villains have not been that great, but I hope Thanos is a perfect villain, and I want this movie to be brutal. Okay, well, it's obviously gonna be PG-13 because it's Marvel and it's gonna appeal to kids as well, but I want this movie to be brutal, like easily the most violent Marvel Cinematic Universe movie yet. Even though it's PG-13, I want some gruesome death scenes. I'm not sure who's gonna die in it, but I can already predict Vision is gonna die in it. In fact, I think a huge majority of characters are gonna die in it probably. Alright guys, we finally made it to the top spot. So, my number 1 most anticipated movie of 2018 is Incredibles 2. Incredibles 2 is my most anticipated movie of 2018. It is the movie that I've been waiting for a very, very long time. The Incredibles is not only one of my favorite Pixar movies of all time, but it's one of my favorite movies of all time. In fact, I saw it in the theater when I was 4 years old. Ever since I was 4 years old, I have been waiting for The Incredibles 2. And finally, in 2018, we are getting it. Thank you, Pixar. Alright guys, that's a wrap for my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2018. And like I said earlier in the video, this is my final video of 2017. So, 2017 was a pretty great year actually. It was much better than 2016, at least in my opinion. So, 2017 had some pretty great moments and some pretty moments. So, I have a question for you guys. What movies in 2018 are you most excited for? Whatever they are, just comment below. And I'll see you guys in 2018.